I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to the final Thoroughbreds Are Go for Series 1 in 2021. Coming up on this week's show, we look at attracting the next generation of horsemen and women to the racing and breeding industry, bringing the equestrian and racing worlds closer together. And one of our favourite people on Thoroughbreds Are Go for her work with Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association, Chrissy Harris and others, about sponsoring thoroughbred classes to encourage them into more new homes. And another great thoroughbred love story in Arrowfield Studs, Strappers Stories. That's all coming up on this edition of Thoroughbreds Are Go. An important part of thoroughbred welfare is finding people to work with them who've been around horses since childhood. We return to the huge Coonabarabran School Expo to find out what the racing and breeding industry is doing to attract people to a lifelong career with horses. Lindy, it's just so exciting to see so many kids out at Coonabarabran today, all very much just loving their horses.
Yeah, no, it's a huge event out here, Caroline, over 4 days. You've got about 600 competitors and from all schools in New South Wales competing. So it's the biggest inter-school event in Australia.
Tell me about your work today, given you run thoroughbred industry careers. It looks like just a wonderful opportunity to promote a career in the racing and breeding industry to these kids.
Yeah, so when we were doing our research for TIC, this was the first event that we came to. And what struck us as really unique about this event is that you have kids from all walks of life, from city and from country backgrounds. And there's a great camaraderie at this event, and it's really unique to get that many riders in one place. So it sort of became the first event that we thought we should sponsor.
And the industry is obviously developing new pathways for people coming into the industry. What exactly are you hoping to achieve today with all these children in one place on their horses?
For us, Caroline, we've been, I guess, promoting to competitors of Coona for the last 2 years, but it's really just awareness to say, our industry is here, it's a great career choice, and I think the biggest thing is that they know where to go for more information. So it's for us, for TIC in the first 2 years, it's all about awareness. So it's just a place that they know where to come and source information about the industry. And of course, many of these kids that are out there competing over the weekend, they're riding thoroughbreds, so they're developing great horse handling skills. So what are some of the things you actually say to them about transferring that into a career in racing and breeding? Yeah, we're actually sitting here, and the backdrop behind us is the cross country, and just watching these horses come through now, a lot of them are thoroughbreds, and you know, they're big strong horses, and so you have to be able to ride really well to control them, especially over these big jumps. So the kids that are doing these competitions, you know, they're our prime target market for careers, because they're already riding and galloping big strong horses, and so those skills that they develop then sort of naturally fall into place when they come and work in the thoroughbred industry. And as you say, all these kids, they've come from right around New South Wales, but you know, from the Coonabarabran and local regions in rural New South Wales, what are some of the ways these kids can get more education about racing and breeding careers? Is it really, you know, pathways through schools, or is it really just about planting the seed so they look to further their education post-schooling? We try and plant the seed with young people all through school, so that I guess when they get to year 12 and they're considering their options, our Explorer program is a really good option for them, because it gives them a taste of our whole industry. So that's why we developed that program, Caroline, is so that post-school, if you're toying with a career in the industry, you get to come and have a year with us, work for the best, and experience the entire industry and see what you want to do with your life. So that's why the Explorer program, it's the main thing that we're really talking about up here, because it's a natural, you know, gap year for people leaving school that want to ride or maybe want to work with horses. So Catherine, what do you want to do when you finish school?
I want to race ride and become a jockey.
Become a jockey. Wow. So you're pretty fearless, you think?
Catherine, when you get a bit older, we run an accelerator program with Tommy Berry and Rachel King and a few of our top jockeys, and they come and mentor you.
Yeah.
And that might be something that you might want to do, and you learn how to ride track work and learn your times, but you get the jocks giving you advice and things, and I can tell you that the top jockeys are the nicest people, and they're so willing to give their time to young people, so that could be a really good pathway for you when you finish your school.
Yep.
When you're in Bathurst, we do run that out of Richmond, so you could come down and have 3 months with us.
Yeah.
Which would be great. We'd love to help you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Is it more pressing now to harness our local kids into our industry? For so long we've relied on a lot of overseas workers, and that's obviously changed. Is it more important than ever?
I think the industry, the people will say that the industry's at crisis point, and we've sort of got to this point because of so many different factors. And I guess one of the big factors was we weren't communicating with those people that would naturally form our workforce. So being at events like this is just a must-do for our industry. Like, it's to think that we weren't doing it up until when TIC was started is kind of silly. But we have to have a really great base of our workforce. We always would love an international workforce coming in to supplement our domestic workforce, but I think getting the domestic core workforce right is absolutely imperative. And I hear from people all the time that are downsizing their businesses, whether that's on the outskirts of Sydney or in rural areas because they can't get staff. So that can't be good for the powers to be if people are shrinking their businesses because of staff.
You as parents and you as kids, if you're intimidated about coming into the industry, I wouldn't. It's a fantastic industry. We have a lot of fun in what we do. We work very, very hard, but it is a lifestyle job. And you're only limited by your imagination and your ambition. And so whether you come into the industry as a strapper, as a jockey, as a marketer, as an insurance person, as a stud manager, a stallion groom, there is all sorts of avenues that you can go into and enjoy. And like I say, you're only limited by your ambition, and it is not an industry that is gender specific either. If you look at our industry right now and currently, some of our most successful people, a girl like Jamie Carr, who's the leading rider in Melbourne, Rachel King, who's a jockey we at Godolphin use a lot in Sydney, superstar girl, 24 or 5 years of age, rides umpteen winners. Young people in our industry, a lot of people say you have to be in our industry for generations to be a success. Not true. Some of our most successful people in the industry are people like Henry Field, who's in his mid-30s, running a huge empire at Newgate Farm in the Hunter Valley, massively successful, was the beneficiary of the Godolphin Flying Start program, which is something we can talk about privately if you're interested. Other people like, our trainer James Cummings, who is a generational family within the industry, 33 years of age. He's trained 26 Group 1 winners. His grandfather, Bart Cummings, at the same age, has trained about 6. What sort of trajectory is he on?
And Vin Cox of Godolphin, of course, he's a big supporter. It's a big Saturday race day. He's there with the Melbourne Cup too. But Godolphin have done a lot of work in this area internationally too.
Without Godolphin, the TICs of the world wouldn't exist. Godolphin are probably the most generous, in John Massara's words, they're the best thoroughbred citizens in Australia, in the world. So when we started TIC, we went to Godolphin and briefed them on, I spoke to the team there about what we wanted to do, and they were right behind it from the get-go. And to think that Godolphin are here this weekend as well, and they're also supporting the off-the-track thoroughbreds, and Vin's here, and the Melbourne Cup's coming up. So, that sort of shows how important it is to them. But, with Flying Start and all the other things Godolphin do, they're pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, we can't, as an industry, afford to allow or pretend that people are going to come to our industry organically. We do, in this day and age, we do have to aggressively go out and find our staff, educate our people, and ensure that they want to stay in our game and retain those staff. One thing about horse people is they're hugely passionate. Whether they're in racing or whether they're in eventing or pony clubbing or whatever, they're very, very passionate about their horses and very passionate about every program that they're involved in. And Lindy Maurice, she's just a freak.
her passion to educate people, to bring people into our industry, to expose people to our industry is extraordinary. And you know, we take our hat off to her and the work that she puts in and the dedication she has to all her students over the last couple of years has been wonderful. And they're all out there in different employment venues, whether it's in the racing side or the stud side. I can say with experience, the people that we've employed out of thoroughbred industry careers are very, very good people, and they're in it for the long term.
And the kids themselves, I mean, they're just so versatile, aren't they? You know, there's 6-bar show jumping tomorrow, a pentathlon, eventing, a stack of other events. And that versatility really will serve them well in the future because there's such versatility within the thoroughbred industry.
Yes, you'll see all sorts of horses up here, quarter horses, stock horses, you name it, you'll see it. And there's so many different events up here. It's jam-packed over 4 days what these kids are doing. But any kind of horse skill, whether it's, you know, with a quarter horse or a stock horse or a thoroughbred, they're all transferable skills. The same with thoroughbred skills are transferable to here and then the rest of the world. So when we're talking to young people, we particularly say that, you know, the thoroughbred industry is a worldwide industry and it's a great way to travel. So, and the skills you can travel, take them anywhere with you.
How important is it to have a national approach to training staff in the racing and breeding industry?
We do have to have a national approach. We do have to have that strategic element to it so that we can coordinate between the various states. And each individual state from the education perspective brings a lot to the table. But what happens in New South Wales may not be as good as what happens in Victoria in a particular aspect of education. So I think if we can draw together what each individual state does do, then we can, you know, if someone in Queensland wants to have a particular passion to ride track work, say, then we can point them in a particular direction, whether that's in Victoria or South Australia or New South Wales is academic. But we know that within each state there are certain strengths, and we've got to play and play to those strengths and attract those people and point them in the right direction so that, that we do get the best out of these people for their respective interests.
And it's quite a spectacle. I mean, it really is heartening to see so many kids just loving their horses.
I guess this event corrals all the kids and horses together, so you get to see it en masse. But yeah, I mean, the horse sports are alive and well when you come to an event like this. It's a pretty amazing event.
So many people hugely passionate and proactive about getting the next generation involved in working with horses. Coming up on Thoroughbreds Are Go, how do you sponsor a thoroughbred sport horse class and what are the rewards for those who do?
This segment brought to you by Kingstar Farm. Time to Reign, new in 2021.
You've seen our great friend Chrissy Harris on Thoroughbreds Are Go several times this season. Her Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association organising shows for thoroughbreds around the country. But these shows can't exist without sponsors who have a great passion for supporting our horses away from racing. So how do you sponsor an event and what are the rewards? Chrissy, well, sponsorship is so important, obviously, isn't it, for anybody that's trying to run these competitions. Tell us how you get on getting sponsors for Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association.
Well, we've been really, really lucky. When we first started, I mean, I'm not good at it because it's the first time I've really done it. And as everybody knows, asking for money is really quite difficult. So BreedNet ran an article for us, and we were contacted from that article by Greg and Jodie White from Roderick Stud at Wingen, and they pledged a bunch of money for 5 years. And that was just, I mean, I'm still gobsmacked that they've done it, and they've been absolutely amazing to deal with. And you know, from the Roderick Lodge one, we've just moved on. And you know, people like Michael Friedman, he used to jump, super rider, and he understands both sides of the story, and he was in straight away. Blake Ryan, his wife is actually riding at now.
Jess, yeah.
So Jess is riding a horse called Aviator. that was owned by Karen Atterbo, who's also part of Thoroughbred Sport Horse. So it's amazing how it all goes around in circles. And there's been some fantastic sponsors. Adrian and Jess Bott, I mean, they are some of my staunchest supporters, and those guys have been helping with the other trainers to get them on board. So I've probably been a little slack at it, but I've just loved the input from the industry.
Adrian, well, not only is your beautiful wife Jess competing very successfully here today, but you yourself, Gay Waterhouse, the stable, you're sponsoring Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association. Tell us what drives you to get behind shows like this.
Yeah, look, obviously I think it's very important for our industry. I think it's at the moment there's certainly a lot of awareness about that particular aspect of the industry. Like, whilst there's always been plenty of support from industry participants, as I said, the awareness is there at the moment. And if this is a small thing that we can do to sponsor classes and show that we are supportive of it, well, I think that's only greater for the industry.
Yeah, I guess, we've talked to Tom Cooper, who's a smaller trainer, but across the board, people can get involved and really put something back in to assist thoroughbreds, get these wonderful homes competing like this.
Yeah, look, obviously they've been fantastic to us throughout their careers, so I think it's only fair that we're able to give them a good home and a good life after racing. Racing New South Wales done fantastic with their rehoming facility, and we're able to use that and support that ourselves, and then we were able to select horses out of that program itself to bring here and compete and showcase those horses. So I think it is, a big part of that's being able to show how well these horses compete at a high level, and hopefully give them a good home and a place for people to continue supporting the thoroughbred throughout their career.
And you can see it makes a difference in the people wanting to take them on. Having prize money, we've seen this happening around the world, having that prize money to be rewarded for having a thoroughbred as opposed to another breed. So important.
Yeah, look, I think it is. Obviously, any industry where you can make it sustainable and help with the costs associated with it, well, obviously that's a big factor. And as I said, the fact that we can contribute to that, obviously that's very rewarding for us.
And I saw a tweet recently and Charlie Duck where there was a Chris Waller jump, and he was taking the mickey out of, Jess Bott riding, a beautiful jump over the Chris Waller jump. Of course, Adrian Bott, the co-trainer with Gay Waterhouse, but great to see them competing. And you can see Adrian is so proud, not only that they're supporting your association, but also watching his wife Jess jumping so well.
I spoke to him at the last show in November, and I said, "How are you going?" And he said, "This is dreadful." He said, "I'm more nervous watching Jess than I am watching my horse run the slipper."
Yeah, exactly. But he's so proud too.
Absolutely, and it's lovely to see him there supporting her.
Yeah.
And it's good fun with all of them, and I love the rivalry. When Jess jumps the Chris Waller jump, and Chris Waller sponsored the show in Glen Innes, and he's a small town guy. He comes from a small town. He said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." Yeah. So that meant a lot to that little show in Glen Innes. And then we've got some small town trainers that are just starting out and doing really well. Like Ben Blay, he's up at Singleton. He was a terrific rider, and as in jumping rider, and he was training with Vicky Roycroft. And he's gone back to his dad's old, sport, I suppose, of racehorse training. And Johnny Cooper. Now he's just a fabulous guy. Lives around the road, has gone from eventing back to racehorse training, following in his dad's footsteps and doing a fantastic job. So it's a lovely cross-pollination that we're getting with our sponsorship, and basically I'm, just loving being part of the racing industry.
Hey, John in front, wind time back to the far side.
John, well, you have a great background as an elite equestrian competitor, and you obviously love your thoroughbreds. Tell me about your background and what you sort of achieved riding them.
Well, I started off in Pony Club, and then with my dad, and I'm riding my dad's racehorses, so I'd ride them work, and then I started eventing and travelled the world really eventing, and had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and the Thoroughbred was your horse of choice.
That was our mainstay horse. Yeah, they were the great horses. Yeah. Well, Australia had the best event horses in the world at that stage, and 90% of them were thoroughbreds.
And you had a nasty fall. I mean, that sort of can change everything, can't it? But you're training now. How long have you been training?
I've been training now for 2 years, and we've had good times and not so good times, but the horses are going okay. We're winning a few races and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a different thing, isn't it, dealing with them as elite racehorses? You're training them to be an elite athlete. I mean, obviously the eventing and show jumping, etc., dressage is that as well. But tell me the difference when you're training a horse for racing. Is there much groundwork you do that's actually quite similar?
There is a bit of groundwork that's similar, and I'm lucky that I ride my own horses. and I can take them on the paddock and do a bit of flat work on them, or I can jump them a little bit, which really freshens them up and gets them happy. So yeah, there are things that are similar.
And as far as being a sponsor, which is fabulous here of the Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association classes here this morning, I mean, Chrissy Harris and Heath and everyone are doing a wonderful job.
Yeah,
but
brilliant.
Tell me about what you get out of sponsoring these sorts of classes.
I enjoy sponsoring it because I want to see the thoroughbreds taken care of after racing, and I enjoy it because of what they've given me, you know, through the years of riding them. And thoroughbreds have such a huge heart, and they try so hard. It's so nice to see them go on and do things after racing and be cared for and loved.
I guess it's a matter of trying to get other sponsors. I mean, you know, you're a sort of smaller trainer, obviously. Yep. We've got Gay and Adrian, and Chris Waller sponsors a lot of classes too. But, you know, from a smaller perspective, you can still put something back in.
Yeah, exactly. You can put it back into it and enjoy the same things as what we're enjoying today. I get to sit up in a nice tent, watch the horses go, and watch the jumping today. The horses jumped great, and it was a really good class to watch. Do
you think there is a change slightly now back to the take-up of the thoroughbred?
I think so. And I think people are enjoying the thoroughbred for his heart and the way that he'll gallop cross country, or he'll try and jump as high as you ask him to. Obviously, they're going to be better ones than other ones, but of course, there are different grades of classes, so they'll all fit in somewhere.
When people are taking thoroughbreds off the track, what would be some good advice you'd give them about how long they might take to sort of settle in? They might be a bit, you know, worried first time they come to, first few times coming to a show. But that's the same for all horses, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't matter whether it's warm blood or whether it's a thoroughbred. They come out, they're anxious the first times they come out. Usually with the thoroughbred, he may be a little hot, but he's been out before. He's experienced going on the truck before. He's been to different places before, different race meetings, tied up in cross ties. He's done all that sort of thing. So he's actually got a little bit more education than the young warm blood. Yeah. And he's actually a good horse for the lower grades, if you can find a nice, pleasant one.
And what are their greatest attributes in your eyes?
I think their heart. They try so hard. And they're willing horses. They just want to please. You know, obviously, when they come straight out of racing, it takes a little while for them to slow down a little bit. But that will to do what you ask them to do is always there. Again,
it's about getting that message across to people to take a bit of time with them and accept it's going to, but still be careful. I mean, you don't want young kids getting on until they've been through those processes.
Exactly. Yeah, they have to be careful. It has to be, it's good if they get a good coach, which helps them, you know, and obviously the coach is going to tell them whether they're ready to go out or not. And if they listen to their coach, they should have a good time.
She's so great, isn't she? I mean, I know it's nerve-wracking. I think the courage these riders show is incredible. But what's it like sitting there sort of watching her and you know, seeing her competing at this level?
Look, obviously I enjoy seeing her compete. I know this is a huge passion for her. She drives a lot of this and a lot of the support and the thoroughbreds themselves. That's her particular passion, seeing them compete so well. So, look, I obviously enjoy seeing her compete so well and successfully here today. I certainly can sit back a lot easier today and relax as I can at a race day. So it's enjoyable to be here. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I sort of encourage everyone to get involved.
It's great to see so many people enjoying sponsoring these classes, and you can do so too. Get in touch with Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association or a similar organisation around Australia. Coming up on Thoroughbreds Are Go, Arrowfield Studs Strappers Stories.
My name's Hayley and I'm the owner of Global Royal, or Barry as we used to call him in the stable. I first met Barry back in late 2018. His trainer Joan Precy called me up. I was a track work rider at the time. She called me up and asked me to come and jump on this young horse that she had. Told me that he had a lot of ability, but you know, he needed a stronger rider, so come down, jumped on him, and from that morning it was just love at first sight. The second I laid eyes on him, really. He's a beautiful big nature boy, and I loved him all through his racing. He never did much as a racehorse, unfortunately. He used to hang in. We tried for 12 months to correct that and couldn't get there, so Joan made the call to retire him, and 2 weeks later I got the phone call saying, you know, you can take him home, he's retired. I always said that he was going to have a life with me after racing, no matter how long I had to wait. Just luckily I didn't have to wait that long. Brought him home, fresh 2 weeks off the track, still pumped full of feed. Smart me decided, let's take him to a show, see how he goes. I took him to a show at Hawkesbury. I think it was the Winter Woolies Hack and Breed show. He placed 4th lead hack and 3rd lead thoroughbred gelding that day. So I was pretty proud of him that day. He got out there and he did everything, took it all in his stride. He seriously took it like a gentleman. I was so proud of him. He's had a bit of jump training, which he took to very well. He absolutely loves his flat work, loves his carrots. Such a happy boy. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we haven't been able to get out over the last sort of 18 months. Hopefully that will change next year though. So he's been loving farm life at the moment, but he'll stay with me for however long he's alive. He'll never leave my side.
That is Thoroughbreds Are Go for Series 1 in 2021. Don't worry, we will be back in spring with more great stories of thoroughbreds away from racing, educating people to care for them and give them a long and happy life. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you again soon.